All right, guys, in this video, we're going to talk about throwing to spots versus throwing to a man. A lot of my clients are saying they're explicitly being told to throw to a wide receiver and not to a spot. Here we see Cam Ward versus the Patriots. I think clearly throwing to a spot because he's got a lot of linebacker interference in front of him, and he has to pick a spot, really not an ideal spot, a harder spot to throw to because his wide receiver doesn't eclipse this linebacker trailing underneath until later on in the play. And you can see it there that that's really the only spot he had. If he threw it at the wide receiver, no bueno. He is not winning on that play. The good thing about this clip is we're going to see on the next play, the very next play in the game, another example of throwing to a spot, this time versus man coverage. So they're going to line up in trips. He's going to see that these safeties are tipping their hand and are going to roll down. So he's going to audible number two to a middle of the field post here. Safeties roll the one, receiver goes down the middle, and Cam targets that front pylon for this post. And that's a lot, that's a mechanism that wide receivers and quarterbacks often use to stay on the same page. In fact, flag and post, those routes are named that so that quarterbacks can be on the same page so that you can head towards one of those landmarks. So that's another good example. Plus, this throw here, if we see the replay, is so far out in front of the receiver that there's no way he's throwing to a guy. He's gauging his speed and throwing it out there to the pylon. Now, in the NFL, you have to throw out in front of receivers because of the speed of the game. And the higher level you go, the more you're going to have to employ this. Now, it's really just a more nuanced way of talking about it. A lot of times we're just arguing about words. Of course, we're throwing to a wide receiver, but we're not throwing at a wide receiver. We're targeting a receiver and we're throwing it out to a spot in front of him that aligns with hitting that wide receiver. Now, are there routes where you can throw at a wide receiver? Yeah, sure, on a stop route or a hitch route, maybe you're throwing at a wide receiver, but anything that's tracking across the field or even toward a corner, you're throwing out in front of these receivers two spots. So work on that, work on your anticipation, and don't just know the breaking point of a route, but know where that route usually hits and where it hits when it's over the top or when you have to flatten a guy or when you're hitting it first window versus second window. If you can start to understand all those different spots on the field, your anticipation is going to be that much better.